So as I expected, I'm gonna make today a bit of a more chill quad lift. Now, I do not want to come off as though I'm saying it's like just, whenever you don't really feel like it, just make it a light lift and you'll be good, right? You'll get just the same gains as if you were really killing it on the regular. Not the case. But I can tell I might be going a little overboard with the frequency of the crazy high intensity quad lifts. Like the last 3 in a row were all heavy squats, followed by like 4 and 5 sets of really heavy machine pendulum hip press. So I'm starting to feel it just a touch. I can tell I'm getting some residual fatigue in a way that I'm not really aiming for. Knees to touch, a little bit of a shin splint on the right side. So that's my cue. Do a little bit of an easier quad day, at least in terms of the amount of weight that is being moved, right? So instead of trying to, squat a crazy amount, today is going to be a bit more squeezing focused. So really just a good fucking change up from what the last leg days were. And I think that's kind of where I have the most luck anyway, doing a really weight tension focused lift, leg press, Smith machine squats, things like that. And then countering that with the next leg day being a little more hamstring focused and hitting quads in a more squeezing way, mainly with leg extensions. Leg extensions and a touch of sissy squats I think will be pretty nice. So hamstrings, there's pretty much 3 movements that I'm going to want to do at this gym. And I might want to add an extra one too, but it's a little... it's kind of glutish, so I might want to check it out first, because obviously, seated hamstring curl, perfect. Laying hamstring curl, fucking supreme. RDLs, Smith machine's my one of my personal favorite ways to go about it. Freaking awesome. But there's oh man, I can actually reverse. No, not a reverse hyper. Well, it's basically one of the machines where you kind of your feet get held up at a, sort of a hamstring kind of situation. But it's just a little tricky because it's very easy to just use a ton of glutes and lower back and not just your hamstrings. Like with an RDL, I don't have much problem taking my glutes and lower back out of the equation completely and getting all hamstring activation. But with anything that, with a lot of hip hinges, just be a little mindful that you don't inadvertently work on your fucking dump truck instead of the, your leg bicep like you want to. But that's going to be first, and I'm definitely going to, I always give hamstrings my full attention. But they're going to get a little bit of extra love today because I know I don't, there's not going to be so much craziness on quads. And sometimes on my, like on the lifts where I do a lot of those machine leg press, I cut back on the hamstring volume just a touch, because on a Smith machine squat, regular squats too, but especially the Smith machine, since I get to stay a bit more upright since the bar path is already like laid out in front of me. Well, what I'm saying was on a Smith machine squat, I don't get a lot of hamstring activation, but on any kind of leg press, my hamstrings come into play much more. So if I'm doing 4 sets of crazy heavy leg press and I'm like basically approaching failure, or on some of the sets actually just doing that extra rep and making it real failure, my hamstrings are firing like crazy. So sometimes it's makes a little more sense for me to maybe do only 4 or so sets of hamstrings first and then get some extra work on that leg press. But since there's no crazy heavy leg press today, I can really make sure to go all out. But that does not mean insane weight. It's, I think what I'm really aiming for with these lifts is, at least on a set-by-set basis, is just reaching a certain level of intensity, be it, a heavier set or like a lighter squeezing set. So even though I'm, quad-wise it's going to be a bit lighter, I'm still going to get amped up and try to completely obliterate them with these leg extension sets, which will be probably the main course of quads, but I'll add some extra stuff in there too. So nothing else to say. I can almost what day is today? Yeah, Saturday night. Plus, it's all kind of gloomy out, and there's going to be nobody in here. So, other than maybe a couple stragglers, I'll be able to have all the leg machines I want to myself. Maybe even add some fucking supersets in there if we think that might make a bit more sense. So no more chatting. Let's just go pump up my legs as much as possible, and then come home and eat something. I'm gonna add some food segments too. So whatever that post-workout meal is, we'll cut straight to that after probably after the car talk. Not gonna get rid of that post-workout fucking explanation. But let's get started. Let's get heavy with it. And no, I did not just throw the stack on and now I'm going to sit down cold. You know what that's an equation for? Double hamstring rupture. Now, first I camped out on the adductor machine, the legs squeezing together, the ball crusher for like 5-6 sets. Because they do come into play a little bit with hamstring curling. Plus, I did a little bit of calves, just bodyweight calf raises. Because if I don't, tops of my calves and like the back of my knees sometimes feels a little tender. And then once those two things were warmed up, I just started with fucking 70 pounds for a few, 115, 160, 200, 250, now 290. I know it feels good. So even though it's the stack, this is weight within reason. Like these are going to be controlled reps with a good squeeze. But I might not go to the complete stretch position because this is a lot of weight. It's a little freaky. You know, it's like doing a preacher and going all the way to here. You know what I'm saying? So when I do some lighter sets later, that's where I'll really make sure to get complete extension on the top. This is more so overall kind of hamstring workload and squeezing focused. Okay. Ooh. Oh. Hey. I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, that was full stretch and everything. 1 or 2 more just like that. No. Okay. Let's drop the weight. All right. Same style. I mean, just regular leg curl or seated curl, but with this one, I'm going to change it up a little. Just, well, it's almost too heavy to keep doing that amount of weight, but I don't want to just drop the weight and do another straight set. Every time I change it up, style-wise or movement-wise, I kind of want it to be a little abrupt. So, still double leg, but imagine my bicep is my hamstring. All right, the last sets were just full stretch, squeeze, all in one continuous motion. This one will be a little different. Halfway up, pause for a second, and then finish the rep. Halfway up, pause, then finish. Because it just kind of takes away your use of momentum, you know. Like with those sets I just did, once that weight was moving, I kind of got to ride it to the bottom. Whereas with this one, if I stop halfway through, I've got no choice but to seriously contract my hamstrings again to get the rep moving. So this is, the last ones were 290, this is 220. Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Nothing crazy. 2 plates, very squeeze focused. And personally, I've had the most luck in terms of hamstring isolation with a very narrow, I mean, literally fucking toes touching stance. Something about it just lets me like feel like I'm really pulling through my hamstrings. When I go out here, like I feel like my glutes want to come into play way more. And I'm not doing these RDLs as a glute lower back movement. I want to just feel my hamstrings firing. So even though I'm sure I've got the posterior chain strength to do like 4 plates for however many reps, that's going to be tons of lats, tons of lower back, tons of glutes. And it's like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know, I'm here for hamstrings. So I have no problem dropping the ego on these. I forgot my straps. Usually I'd use them, but it's not that heavy. There we go. Oh my God. Ooh. One more. Probably should have stopped at 9. That last one was like probably 60% glutes and lower back. Whew. Oh. One more. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh. Let's finish with some leg curls. Oh, jeez. Maybe I gotta do 1 plate next time. Oh my goodness. This might be it right here. I think that's enough for hamstrings. Holy crap. Yeah. All right, after kind of some feeler set of leg extensions to warm up, I'm still feeling some fucking residual quad fatigue to the point where I think it might be better off to let him rest up a touch more. Honestly, if today were a rest day, that might have been in my best interest. I think I'm a little too hard-headed. So, nasty hamstrings, still under the fucking solid. So let's see how legs look with just a hamstring pump. Let me back up a touch. We're getting in a freaky zone. Oh, jeez. If you told me my quads weren't pumped, I don't know if I'd believe you, honestly. That's pretty fucking cool. Oh, yeah, I got some hamstring hangage going on. Oh, especially noticeable with nice and kind of straight leg. They're really fucking just bulging out. Let's see, they pop out like a, oh yeah. We got some pretty serious lineage there. Oh, I'm definitely gonna fucking feel hamstrings tomorrow. Oh, but quads get to live another day. So I'm pretty sure that means next leg day is gonna have another nasty, heavy portion since they got an extra 3 days of rest. So let's go home, get some fucking grub into my system, man. All done. All freaking done. Hamstrings. Yeah, slightly unexpected. But there is a fucking, I think there is some serious merit to having some variability with some last second adjustments to whatever your lifts may end up being. You know, if you're about to fucking launch a rocket and then suddenly you realize you got some fucking loose bolts here and there, or maybe your probability of success is somehow altered. It is not the worst move to back off, which that's been kind of hard for me to learn over the course of, pretty much fucking forever, for all this fucking working out for me. And I have definitely had a lot of lifts where I end up tweaking shit unnecessarily because I didn't listen to those warning signs. But hamstrings thrashed in a pretty fucking solid way too. I mean, that was damn near double the volume hamstring wise of the last leg day's hamstring workout. So that's fucking sweet for me. So hopefully I don't feel them too bad tomorrow, because I've got chest, and if I want to go to a gym that has dumbbells heavy enough to do some incline dumbbell, then I'm gonna have to maybe warm up a little bit, because I may as well be doing a fucking 300-pound deadlift off the rip from the ground too, so almost more of a deficit deadlift. And that's not something I'm totally used to training for. That'd be the dumbest hamstring pull, huh? Not even doing a hamstring lift, just picking up weights for a chest movement. Yeah. But one thing that and I don't feel bad about critiquing these, just because you are putting yourself out there by posting it. But I think there's for the beginner and the reasonably intermediate lifter, dude, exercise selection is not gonna be the primary fucking factor that's suddenly gonna change your workout routine from not working to suddenly working in overdrive. And what I mean by that is, like, I see a lot of real kind of just fancy niche sort of squeezing movements, which I just don't think they're doing you that much good. I mean, I saw a guy doing it was like a video of a guy doing Smith machine good mornings with like 25 pounds on the bar. And it kind of makes me think, like, if that's as much weight as you can handle for hamstrings, I don't think that doing like a squeezing movement like that is your best bet. I feel like you'd be better off just doing some heavy hamstring curls, or like just some conventional RDLs, and work your entire posterior chain all at once. Like if I do some weird shit too sometimes. I'll do, let me think, what do I do? For the most part, I don't get too weird. Everything's pretty conventional. But like one that I can think of that really jumps out is sometimes for chest, what I'll do kind of as like a squeezer sort of towards the end of the lift. is I'll grab some dumbbells and just, stand in front of the fucking mirror and kind of hang them in front of my quads. It's kind of hard to explain here, but like, and all I do is like, imagine my hands are down at my hips. I just drag the dumbbell over a little bit. It's like 6 inches range of motion, just for a really crazy squeeze on my chest. But, that's kind of a very specific kind of movement, just because I know it's going to give me a certain kind of feel. It's not something I'd want to make up a whole workout about, and it's kind of, I like the saying, you're sort of putting the cart in front of the horse. Like, for the most part, squat, bench, deadlift kind of power builder guys, for the beginner lifter, I think that's where it's at. Building fucking building size and strength in the beginning of your lifting career. And by beginning, I mean like first 2.5, 3 years, depending on your your trajectory. Like, dude, as you get bigger, you're going to want to get stronger. I would have no interest in recommending, some like 160-pound dude only do like 20-pound dumbbell curls very extremely slow and like with a full squeeze. It's like, for a couple of sets, I think that'd be good, but you're seriously missing out on just like maximally overloading whatever muscle it is that you're hitting, right? Do your heavy chest press, do some heavy fucking cable rows or chest supported rows, throw some shit around in the leg extension or the hack squat and the leg press, and basic shit like that. There's a reason the basics are so fucking, they're such staples of pretty much every gym. It's because they work. Anything that's a little bit too fancy with a couple of different moving components, I just don't see it. At least not for a lot of, somebody's fucking workload. So, with something like those good mornings, as a generalized like posterior chain builder, I have no real context to dog on it. But if I want to work my fucking hamstrings, why would I want to load the weight so far away from my targeted muscle that I end up working all sorts of other like stabilizers at the same time, right? I mean, that's why I've been really liking Smith machine squats and really liking leg press now that I've actually got the feel for it again, because it's just taking a lot of extra muscles out of the equation, so that's just sort of my thought process there, man. Focus on your progressive overload, and stick with the classics. Try not to do anything too fancy, because honestly, the guys who are doing that the most really are just trying to make their Instagram reels more flashy so that they can sell you their training program, because it seems like new and exciting. It's like, Sam Sulek just dropped his brand new elastic band based workout ever. And then also these guys who are selling these workouts, Sam Sulek has been working out with bands for 3 years. This is how I work out. Dude, come on. Almost never the fucking chance. Unless, sometimes the guy isn't very muscularly developed, and then maybe it's true. Maybe he has only been working out with bands. But that's, I don't feel bad about dogging on somebody like that, just trying to scam you. So, if your next hamstring workout, you're trying to do some random kind of craziness, maybe back off. Maybe just stick to some curls and some RDLs and try to go nuts. And even just thinking about it in a more overarching kind of way, I don't really think that your training style is that fucking important. Like, it is. I'm not trying to say it's completely negligible, but if I were to do, I mean, you could kind of do all sorts of shit, man. And as long as you go hard, it's going to be fucking gains inducing, right? So, I mean, for a long time, I was doing workouts where every set was a drop set. Like, every time I would do tricep pushdowns, I wouldn't just do a straight set to failure, drop it, do, 20 more burnout reps. For a while I was doing a lot of like different kind of supersetting stuff. It's like, at the end of your workout, if you know whatever muscle you just targeted is wrecked and you're not lying to yourself about it, like you actually went hard and you have some serious fatigue, then if you go home and eat your food, man, as long as that intensity is up to par with like 90-80-ish% of what you can bring on average, then I think you're fucking good. So that's where, take it a step further for you specifically, train the way you like. There's I think this might just be me, but I don't like the idea of somebody like telling me exactly what I should do and like exactly what movement is going to feel best for me. It's like, dude, how do you know? I've been working out with my body, and I've been feeling it every fucking day on all these fucking sets for like 6 years straight. Now, I would love some input on things to try, like, you know, if somebody's doing a specific kind of back movement that I haven't seen before, if I know the guy or he seems kind of approachable, I'll go up and ask him, like, dude, what's going on here? I've haven't seen, and then maybe say, yeah, let me try one of those. If it feels awesome, badass, new movement in the fucking repertoire, and then if it feels like shit, then whatever, man. That works for you, doesn't really work for me. So that's where I like the idea of really kind of steering your own ship and trying to, well, not even trying, making sure that you're open to new information. Because if you're, I'm not too many steps away from being a very closed-minded lifter in that sense, right? And what I mean by that is there's a lot of guys where what happens is they work out for 2 years, or, you know, maybe whoever got them into working out really instilled a certain set of like principles or movement styles, or just straight up like basic workouts that they now follow, and they might be working pretty well at the time, which I'd say is just to do with the fact that if you're working out hard, you're probably going to stimulate some gains. But what happens is over the course of let's say a year and a half, you give a guy a training program, you make it very rigid, and you say, okay, do this, see what happens. And let's say the guy makes decent gains in those 1.5 years. After that period, gains are going to slow down. Let's just say in this hypothetical, the guy is now suddenly plateaued. You know, he went from maybe 160 to 185 in that year and a half, pretty solid fucking gains. And then now he's just still that same 185, and he's not gaining any more strength. He's just kind of floating around, maintaining his build, but not making any real progress. So there's a lot of guys out there where if you're in a plateaued state like that, it's very easy to be kind of fooled into thinking like, well, I trained like this before and I was making gains. I'm going to keep training like this before, like this now, and until it works. Like, this worked for the last year and a half. I'm going to keep doing it because it used to work. You know, it's like, you gotta be open to the fact that, dude, you're going to be a new fucking dude after a certain period of time. And a lot of that is going to have to do with food, honestly. Like, it's not purely the training, but that does kind of fool you with your calorie intake too. Because let's say somebody didn't track their macros at all for a year and a half, and now suddenly they're plateaued. What's the guy supposed to think? It's like, oh, now I think I need to put real effort into my diet. That might happen 10% of the time. What I think happens the most is, oh shit, fuck, man, I guess this is my limit. This is as far as I was meant to go, man. I've been making steady gains, but now they've suddenly stopped. No, man, that's not fucking how simple this shit is. It's not like you reach a point and now suddenly that's the barrier. No, you're never gonna get bigger than that. You just reach a point where you're gonna have to readjust your fucking situation and force yourself into those gains, but it takes a little bit of extra work. So that's where I'm glad I got the seed of like macro tracking and calories in, calories out, cardio, training hard, kind of ingrained reasonably early on, because I've never had to deal with like a serious plateau. And any time I do, it's usually just the end of an already successful bulk where I'm just at the point where I can't get any more food down to continue putting on weight. And then that's my cue. Okay, time to start the dieting phase. Time to get lean again and see what we built underneath. Right? So if you know that guy, or potentially if you are that guy, I really think you've got a checklist that you want to look over. Your training intensity, which you've got to be kind of honest with yourself. And I see this, I have this own fucking problem in my own training. Like, I think I train pretty hard, and a lot of the times the movements that I do, I can hit legit failure on, right? Like dumbbell curls or any kind of curl based motion, that's pretty easy for me. Like, I don't have much problem getting real failure on curls. But like the last arm day I did when I was doing my like bent over overhead cable extensions on triceps, I was reaching a point where I stopped a couple of those sets, not because I think I really gave it everything. I just kind of started to feel like my triceps were burning, and I feel kind of bad about it. I want to actually make sure I can get every drop of juice out of every set I do, but that is something which you do get better with at time. So that's just a little kick in the butt for me to say, all right, next tricep day, don't let that happen again, right? Push yourself beyond what your previous limits were. So looking at your training, if you know you've been skipping some large muscles on your lower body, I think we know what we're talking about. Maybe try to implement those a little more, right? If you haven't made yourself acquainted with a cardio machine in quite some time, same thing there. I'm not saying immediately start doing 30 minutes of cardio every day, but maybe after your next workout, just add 15 minutes of the bike at the end. I think that's going to beat no cardio. And so a little side note, I think the best time to do cardio is in the morning, completely separate from your weight training. But I think the second best time, immediately post-workout, right? You just had a hard lift. Maybe if you're trying to bulk up, bring like a shake or something, or have like post-workout, I don't mind having some sweets too to get a little bit of a blood sugar spike. Maybe eat something right when you're done, then do 15 minutes on the bike. That's a good first step, I think. And I'm not even talking too hard, right? But getting back to it, these little things, they add up. And, it's 100 little things that somebody's going to do in his training that's going to separate him from the guy who's not doing it. So, yeah, it might seem a little bit insignificant to, remember to take all your vitamins at night, and to give yourself a liter of water in the morning with some electrolytes and just slam that before you do anything else. Or, giving yourself at least an hour and a half to digest whatever meal you just had before you train, so that you don't have to feel kind of like a little gross and nauseous or anything like that. While you're training, are you having a little bit too much of a social hour? Like, the gym is awesome because of how big of a community you could build with just the guys around you that you see all the time, right? It's parallel play is a pretty fucking awesome thing to have in your daily routine, but you have to actually get your workout done. I could not imagine being in the middle of chest and then, after my fourth set, completely losing my pump from getting into like a 20-minute conversation, right? That would, I just don't see it happening, So it's just those little things, right? So it makes it a bit tricky to answer the question of like, okay, what can I do to bring myself to the next level? Because I'll not only see in those comments, but I'll get those questions in real fucking life. Where it's like, okay, what can I do to keep going? Like, and these are from guys who got like decent, like not even decent, like solid squats, like 315 for reps. They're benching in the 200s for reps, like, solid dudes. And I don't have a definitive answer because there is no definitive, like, one thing. It's like, dude, you want to start making gains? Let me grab you something out of my bag. This is concentrated elk antler. Dude, it's going to get you going like nothing else. Like, it's not just one specific thing, It's more so fucking adding everything else up in your support system that's going to keep you going. So, it's a no-brainer too. Who's going to make the most gains? The guy who tracks his calories, hits all his macros every day, gets enough sleep, drinks all his water. When he's working out, he's really focused on working out, and he's excited about it because he's very in the moment with every set he's doing, versus, the guy who's gonna fucking go to the gym 3-4 times a week when his friends are there, and then half the time he's outside the gym, or not even half, all the time he's outside the gym, never counted a single calorie, and then drinks on the weekend. And that's it's very easy for me to say don't drink because I don't drink. I don't have that fucking urge because I've never really been into it. But I don't mean that to be an attack, but it really is cutting into your gains pretty tremendously. So take that information with what you will. It's obvious, right? So it's I think the only thing that stops that from sounding cool is the fact that it all kind of seems like just little chores, you know? But they all add up. They all add up. So that's where I think that's what really differs guys in the gym, where you actually, like, when they walk in, you know it. The main person who I ever saw like that, his name was I think you can look him up. He posts some stuff. It's called he's called Noah the Fox on Instagram. So he worked out at my gym when I was a beginner. He kind of, I think he moved to Florida or something. I don't know. But I'm like a 160, 170 pound dude. This guy was fucking, I mean, he's got to be walking around 280, and not like a 280 bulk, like 280 was just his baseline weight. I mean, the guy's doing 4 plates for like seriously controlled sets. I mean, just a behemoth, honestly. And especially looking at him from my 160, 175 pound self at the time, that gets you fucking amped up. And guess what? That guy was definitely doing his cardio, definitely counting his calories. When he was training, he was fucking training. Right? That's who I want to be like. That's what I want to. That's what I want to see, because I know that I want gains. So I don't want to. I don't want to leave anything on the table, and I don't want to leave anything on the chance, or anything up to chance. So, I mean, even today when I was eating my, I had like 8 whole eggs, 3 slices of American cheese, touch of Buffalo Red Hot. That's honestly been kind of a staple fucking protein portion of my meals for the last couple days. But I had to kind of get myself amped up to it, because I mean, I didn't really like it. I mean, I've already got a full stomach, and then I'm adding an extra 8 whole eggs. It's but yeah, it's kind of that's something the general public isn't gonna get behind. Getting hyped up to fucking finish a bowl of food because you don't really want to eat it. But that's enough car talk, I think.